Okay, hello everyone. I'm going to explain once again this part of the voicing because I think that it wasn't complete the last lesson on Thursday, and I will try to go through it as quickly and easy as possible. So, the voicing is the process by which certain voiced Lenis consonant sounds, mainly the sonorants, yes, the lateral alveolar voice, the approximant alveolar, and the semivowels. These four consonant sounds lose some of their voicing when they are preceded only when they are preceded by voiceless plosive sounds. Then that means the bilabial voiceless plosive, alveolar voiceless plosive, and velar voiceless plosive. I said only when they are preceded by these three plosive sounds because if it is the case the other way around, it wouldn't be devoicing. Yes, only affects um, the sonorants when they are preceded by this voiceless sound. Yes, such process is represented by a diacritic whose symbol is a small circle right below the voice sound. Furthermore, voice consonant sounds are devoiced at the beginning and at the end of an utterance or before a pause. Yes. A pause is whenever we have any kind of punctuation that indicates a stop in the speech. Yes, like a column, a semicolon, any of the stops. Yes, any of the punctuation mark like exclamation marks or question marks. All those types of punctuation indicate a brief silence from the speaker. So this indicates a pause. So we could devoice any of the voiced consonant sounds whenever we happen to have this kind of stops. So in this case, the reduction in the vibration of the vocal cords can be felt. Yes, but as I said the previous lesson on Thursday, we could have the sonorants that I previously mentioned at the beginning or at the end of the utterance, yeah, or before a pause. In that case, it can also be devoiced. Yes. So to sum up, all of the voiced consonant sounds can be devoiced. However, we have the case of the voiceless glottal fricative sound that, in contrary of devoicing, it can be voiced, a bit voiced when it's surrounded by vowel sounds. That means preceded and followed by vowel sounds and can be within word or at word boundaries. Nasal sounds are never divorced, and there are no exceptions about that. Otherwise, I would include examples of those exceptions. But there's no case, at least on the books, that can relate to nasal sounds being divorced. Yes. The following video that I have included, yes, which is in slide 9 of this material, will help you to understand a little bit better about voicing in general, yeah, including the voicing, yes, and that it's the feature of voicing is something that you have seen in phonetics 1, but it could make it could be really helpful if you give it a look again. So I have a few examples of that. I showed you the previous lesson. Okay, here we have a very clear and easy sentence in which you will see that the alveolar lateral is preceded by a voiceless bilabial plosive. So in that case, it is devoiced. Why is this lateral sound devoiced? Because the aspiration, the normal aspiration caused by the plosive of the bilabial voiceless plosive make the following sound a little bit voiced. I'm going to explain it very common in very simple words in Spanish. Es como que la plosión o la explosión del sonido plosivo, valga la redundancia, absorbe un poco de la vibración que genera la siguiente consonante, ¿sí? El siguiente sonido consonántico, mejor dicho. So, we have please try to clean quickly. So in this case, it's the same example. The approximate sound is preceded by a voiceless alveolar plosive, so it becomes devoiced under the presence of this consonant sound. The same for the lateral being preceded by the velar voiceless plosive, and the semivowel again with the same voiceless sound. Yes. Here we have examples of voiced consonant sound, like this velar voiced plosive being devoiced at the end of the syllable. Yes, and at the end of this utterance, which is a very simple phrase, and because of the stop in speech, yeah, the sound is devoiced. Yeah, it's like decelerating the the normal speed of our speech. Yeah, the same with the following phrase, some food. Yes, the final voiced alveolar plosive sound is the voiced at the end of the phrase. Okay. Good, good. And then we have the example of what I have told you before, voicing of glottal sound. In this case, we have the voiceless glottal fricative sound preceded and followed by vowels. Yes, that makes, because vowels, as you may know, are normally and naturally voiced. There's no vowel sound that is voiceless. Any of the vowel sound is voiceless. All of them are completely voiced. Yes, and that is has nothing to do with the feature of weakness. Yeah, if it is weak or strong. Yeah, um, I mean that's the feature of quantity. That's not related to this. Yes, preceded and followed by vowel sound, the glottal fricative voiceless sound becomes a little bit voiced. Yes, not completely voiced, but a little bit voiced. And then we have here in this example that it's the transcription from the previous allophone, yeah, which was aspiration. Um, And you can see at the beginning and at the end of the word, we have the same case for the voicing. Yes, at the beginning of the utterance and at the end. The same here, here, the same word, of course. And where else? Let me see. Here in because, the same in here, and everywhere in which we have a voiced consonant sound, it can be devoiced, and you have there the rules. Okay, this is the video. Please let me know whenever you see it. If you have trouble playing this video, I have also uploaded on Classroom the links of both videos from this material so you can watch it separately. Then we have types of release. That is the final um, allophone that is part of this task integrador. Okay, we have three kinds of release. What do we refer when we talk about release? Is the release of air caused by plosive sounds. Okay, mostly voiceless one, but all of the plosives that release the air, it's part of this allophone. English plosive are not all released in the same way. They may present the following alternatives. Non-audible release or lack of release, it's formed by two consecutive plosive or a plosive followed by an affricate. It happens to plosive clusters, that means two um, plosive sounds together, when the plosion of the first consonant sound is not heard until the second sound is articulated. Okay, so because we cannot release the air of one consonant sound at the same time that we are articulating the second one and then finally releasing the air of the second sound. So all that is impossible for our articulators. So what we do is to retain the plosion of the first sound and release it together with the plosion of the second. Yes, at least that is the way in which we can hear it. Okay, I hope you understand all of this explanation. Please make an effort to understand. It's not that difficult. And this can also happen within word or at word boundary. Yes, and it's marked with this diacritic that I show here and that you will see in the following examples. Then we have nasal release. And nasal release, we have two kinds of that. One is homorganic nasal, that means sequences of sounds that are articulated in the same place. Voiceless bilabial plosive, voiced bilabial plosive, and voiced bilabial nasal. That is why it's called homorganic, because the sequence is articulated in the same place. Yes? The release stage is not performed orally but nasally. In other words, in order to release the compressed air, the soft palate is lowered and the air escapes through the nose. And then we have the other kind of types of release, which is non-organic, and it's when we have the sequence of the bilabial voiceless plosive and the alveolar nasal. Yes, and it's non-homogenic because all of these sounds are articulated in different parts of our speech mechanism. Okay, I hope you understand this part. The oral release must be preceded by the complete articulation of the nasal sound. So when we have, for example, any of these sequences, the plosion of the plosive sound is not released orally, but nasally, as the theory says, when we articulate the nasal sound. So it's the same as it says here. The oral release must be preceded by the complete articulation of the nasal sound. So in that way, the air is released. Otherwise, some oral release will be perceived. Both types of nasal release can happen within word or at word boundary. And these are the examples. But first, we have the third and last kind of types of release, which is lateral. Yeah, and it's when we have any of the two voiceless and voice alveolar plosive followed by the alveolar lateral. In this way, the release is in the same way as nasal. It's homorganic because all of the three are articulated in the same way. Yeah, but The air is not released through the front of through the tip of the tongue like we do with plosive alveolar sounds, but laterally. Yes, both plosives are normally released laterally, as I said. Their release stage consists in lowering one or both sides of the tongue while keeping the tip of the tongue against the alveolar ridge. And the lateral release can happen within word or at word boundary. So all of the types of release can happen within word or at word boundary. Yes? Even for non-audible release, which was the first one, when we had two consecutive plosives, yeah, or a plosive followed by an affricate, this part of the rules applies too to this one at word boundary, yeah, not necessarily must be within the word. So we have here examples of non-audible release, like in Rape Britain, you don't release the air of this final voiceless sound, which has been as well assimilated with the following one. And then we have nasal release, Britain. Yes, the plosion of the voiceless alveolar is released nasally through the nose. And then we have the rest of the, sorry, and then we have the rest of the examples, and all of the explanation happens for all of them. Yes, this is an example of non-other release, and all of them are. Yeah, this is a very clear example of two voiceless plosive sound together. And then we have nasal release. This is homorganic because both consonant sounds are articulated um, with the lips or involving the lips. Then we have voiceless alveolar plosive followed by alveolar nasal, and velar followed by another velar, but in this case nasal sound. And finally, we have lateral release. Yes, it's very easy. We have a plosive followed by the lateral. Yes, any of the plosives followed, no, not any of the plosive, I'm so sorry. Just the alveolar, voiceless and voiced alveolar plosive sounds followed by the lateral. Only these two, voiceless and voiced alveolar plosive sounds. And that was all that was missing from last meeting we have on Thursday. It was incomplete this part because I couldn't record it. Yes, so I'm recording it again. I hope you understand everything, and I hope my voice is clear enough for you to understand the that topic. So thank you, all of you, and I hope you could practice. Thank you so much. Goodbye.